Yo, what's good, everyone? So, I need y'all to sit down for this one because what I'm about to tell you is going to change the way you look at everything that happened between Cardi B and Stefon Diggs over the last few months. You remember that clip from Super Bowl Sunday where Cardi looked Stefon dead in his face and said good luck with zero emotion? No hug, no kiss, no smile, nothing. Just two words, and she turned around and walked away from that man like she was clocking out of a shift. At the time, people were debating whether she was just being cool for the cameras or whether something deeper was going on. Well, now we know. And the real reason behind this breakup is so much messier, so much more layered, and honestly, so much more heartbreaking than anybody initially thought. Well, because what Cardi allegedly found out in the days leading up to that Super Bowl changed everything for her, and once you hear what actually went down behind the scenes, you're going to understand exactly why she made the decision she made. Alright, so let me take y'all back to the beginning because you need the full timeline to really understand how this whole thing fell apart. Cardi and Stefon first went public around the summer of 2025. Now, right away, people had opinions. Stefon Diggs was already known for having a complicated personal life, and that's putting it mildly. The man had children with multiple women. We're talking about 6 kids with 5 different women spread across 5 different states. 5 states, y'all. That's not a family tree, that's a whole roadmap. And 4 of those babies were born in 2025 alone. 4 babies in 12 months with different women. I need y'all to really sit with that number for a second because that timeline is doing a lot of heavy lifting. But Cardi, to her credit, went into this with her eyes open. She knew about his situation. She wasn't blind to it. And according to people close to her, she allegedly had one very clear conversation with Stefon early on where she laid out her terms. She reportedly told him straight up that she could accept the children he already had, she could deal with the existing baby mamas. But if another woman came forward with a new child after they became official, she was done. No discussion, no counseling, no working through it. Just done. And look, after everything she went through with Offset, went after the years of cheating scandals and public embarrassment and side babies popping up like subscription renewals, can you really blame her for drawing that line? She had been through that movie before, and she knew exactly how it ended. So for a few months, things actually seemed like they were going well. Cardi and Stefon were posting each other, showing up together, looking like they were genuinely building something. Stefon got traded to the New England Patriots, and Cardi was right there being supportive. She was showing up to games, posting about him, doing the whole ride or die girlfriend thing. And by the fall of 2025, they announced they were expecting a baby together. Their son was born in November 2025, and from the outside looking in, it seemed like Cardi had finally found her person. She had gotten out of the toxic situation with Offset, she had taken some time for herself, and now she was starting fresh with someone new. But here's the thing that was happening behind the scenes that most people didn't know about until recently. Stefon's other baby mama, a woman named Kiki, had also given birth to his child in September 2025. September. Cardi's baby came in November. That means these 2 women were pregnant at the same time, carrying babies by the same man, with only about 2 months separating the due dates. Now, Cardi reportedly knew about this pregnancy when she got with Stefon, and from what sources are saying, she accepted it because the timeline meant that baby was conceived before they were officially together. So technically, he hadn't violated her boundary. Technically. But as we all know, technically and emotionally are 2 very different things. Now, let's fast forward to January 2025. January 25th, to be exact. Cardi's on social media being all lovey-dovey, and Stefon is responding publicly with, "I love you," calling her his favorite color, and they're posting couple content that has the whole internet swooning. People were rooting for them. The comments were full of support. It genuinely looked like they had figured it out. But then, literally 2 weeks later, everything exploded. By early February, they had unfollowed each other on Instagram, scrubbed their pages of couple content, and gone completely silent. 2 weeks from I love you to complete erasure in 14 days. So what the hell happened in those 2 weeks? Super Bowl weekend happened? That's what. Let me walk you through exactly how this played out because the details matter. February 8th, 2026, Super Bowl Sunday. The Patriots are playing, and this is the biggest game of Stefon's career. Cardi shows up looking absolutely incredible. She's there for the pre-game events. She performed alongside Bad Bunny. Karol G was there. Jessica Alba was in the mix. The whole energy was supposed to be celebratory. This was supposed to be their moment together. The kind of night you remember forever. Your man is playing in the Super Bowl, and you're there to watch him shine. That's a love story. But behind the scenes, a situation was developing that would blow the whole thing up. So Stefon wanted his son, the baby he has with Kiki, to be at the game. And initially the plan was for Stefon's mother to bring the baby. Makes sense, right? Grandma brings the grandchild to watch daddy play in the biggest game of his life. Nobody has a problem with that. But then at the last minute, Kiki decided she didn't want her baby going without her. She wanted to be there too. And what did Stefon do? He got her a ticket. Now reportedly, he tried to be smart about it. He allegedly seated her in a completely different section from his family, away from where Cardi would be, trying to keep some distance between the two situations. But y'all, this is 2026. Everybody has a phone. Everybody has Instagram. Nothing stays hidden for more than about 30 seconds. And sure enough, Kiki started posting. She put up Instagram stories from inside the stadium showing off her Patriots credentials. She was in the team hotel. She was posting like she was the main character of Super Bowl weekend. And remember, this is the woman who had Stefon's baby just 2 months before Cardi had his baby. She's sitting in that stadium, staying in that team hotel, living her best life, while Cardi is supposedly the girlfriend. And here's where it gets even wilder because allegedly it wasn't just Kiki. There are reports that another one of Stefon's baby mamas, a woman named Pri, was also at the Super Bowl. There are videos and pictures floating around showing what appears to be a family gathering, sitting right next to Stefon's mother. And when Stefon comes through, she's shaking his hand like she's part of the inner circle. Some sources are even claiming that Cardi, Kiki, and Pri were all staying at the same hotel. The same hotel, y'all. Can you imagine walking down to the hotel lobby for breakfast and running into not one but two of your man's baby mamas who are also staying there for the same event? That's not a relationship. That's a season finale of a reality show nobody asked to be on. Now, there's a piece of this story that I think really reveals where Cardi's head was at, and it's something that didn't get enough attention when it first came out. The day before the Super Bowl, Cardi was at Michael Rubin's Fanatics party. She performed, she showed up, she did what she was supposed to do professionally. But there's footage from that night, and a professional lip reader actually went through it frame by frame. And according to that analysis, Cardi was telling someone at the party that she had a lot to do. She was looking unsteady in her heels. But when somebody offered to hold her hand, she reportedly said she didn't like this, that she was struggling. And then she asked someone, and this is the part that broke my heart a little bit, she asked how she was going to get over it. How am I going to get over it? That tells you that she already knew. The night before the game even happened, before the good luck moment, before she left early, before any of the public drama kicked off, Cardi was already processing this breakup internally. She was already grieving the relationship while still being expected to show up and smile and play the supportive girlfriend role for the cameras. And when you know that context, that good luck moment hits completely different. That wasn't shade. That wasn't Cardi being petty or cold. That was a woman who had already made her decision and was just going through the motions until she could make her exit. She looked at that man, said 2 words with absolutely no emotion, and walked away. No hug, no kiss on the cheek, no playful smile. Just a flat professional goodbye from someone who had already checked out emotionally. And honestly, that's the most devastating thing you can do to someone. It's not the screaming or the crying or the dramatic confrontation. It's the nothing. It's the absence of feeling. Because when someone is angry at you, they still care. When someone is blank, they're gone. And then she left the game early. The Patriots ended up losing 29-13, and Cardi didn't even stick around to see the final score. She was already gone. Now some people tried to make excuses for that. Me saying maybe she had somewhere to be, maybe she had an early flight. But come on now. Your man just played in the Super Bowl and you're leaving before the 4th quarter? That's not scheduling. That's a statement. After the game, everything happened fast. They unfollowed each other on Instagram, which in 2026 for public figures is basically the digital equivalent of packing your bags and leaving the key on the counter. A source confirmed to Entertainment Tonight that they had recently broken up. And just like that, the relationship that everybody had been rooting for was over, 4 months after their baby was born. 4 months. Now here's what I think is the most important part of this whole story, and it's the thing I really want y'all to think about. Cardi B has been in this exact situation before. With Offset, she dealt with years of cheating, multiple baby mama dramas, public humiliation on a level that most people couldn't even handle. She stayed longer than a lot of people thought she should have, and when she finally left in December 2023, everybody celebrated for her. People were genuinely happy to see her choose herself. She was free. She was healing. She was focused on her career and her children and her own peace of mind. And then less than a year later, she got into a relationship with a man who had an even more complicated personal situation than the one she just left. And I want to be very clear here because I'm not blaming Cardi for this. Stefon Diggs is a grown man who made his own decisions and created his own mess. He's the one who had 6 children with 5 women. He's the one who got his baby mama a ticket to the Super Bowl while his girlfriend was supposed to be sitting in the stands. He's the one who apparently didn't consider how any of this would make Cardi feel. That's on him. But I think what this whole situation really highlights is something a lot of people deal with. And it's not unique to celebrities. Sometimes when you've been through a toxic relationship, the patterns can feel so familiar that you don't even recognize them in a new person. The details are different, but the dynamic is the same. Different face, same movie. And recognizing that takes a level of self-awareness that's really hard to develop, especially when you're in the middle of it, especially when there's a baby involved, especially when the whole world is watching. And then there's Stefon's response to all of this, which honestly tells you everything you need to know about where his head is at. After the breakup went public, after the internet was going absolutely crazy dissecting every detail, you know what this man did? He posted on Instagram playing Rolling Stones by Brent Faiyaz. Now, if you don't know that song, the whole theme is basically about being too wild to settle down, about having demons, about hurting people and not being able to change. That's his response. 3 months after this woman had his baby, after she showed up for him, after she tried to make it work despite all of the complications, his public statement to the world is a song about how he's too untamable to be in a relationship. That's not accountability. That's not maturity. That's a man telling you exactly who he is and expecting you to accept it. And honestly, maybe Cardi should thank him for that because it confirms everything she already figured out. She set a boundary. He either crossed it or created a situation so messy that the boundary didn't even matter anymore because the disrespect was coming from a completely different direction than she expected. She thought the issue would be a new baby. Turns out the issue was feeling like a guest in her own relationship, feeling like she had to share space, share moments, share her man's attention with women who had equal claim to his time and his presence. The Super Bowl was supposed to be their celebration, and instead it turned into a showcase of every complication she had tried to overlook. And at the end of the day, that's the real reason. It wasn't one single thing. It was the accumulation of everything. It was the baby mama at the hotel. When it was the Instagram post from inside the stadium, it was Pry sitting next to his mother like family. It was the last-minute ticket purchase without consideration for how she'd feel. It was the realization that this situation was never going to get simpler, only more complicated. And it was the understanding that she had already lived this life once before, and she wasn't willing to do it again. Cardi B looked at the full picture of what her life would be if she stayed. The multiple women, the multiple children across multiple states, the constant drama, the public scrutiny, and she said no. She chose her peace. She chose her dignity. She chose herself. And look, we don't know what the future holds for either of them. Stefon still has his NFL career, his children, and his life to figure out. Cardi has her music, her businesses, her kids, but now one more co-parenting situation to navigate. But if there's anything we can take away from this whole saga, it's that knowing your worth and actually acting on it are two very different things. And Cardi acted on it. She didn't drag it out for years this time. She didn't give second and third and fourth chances. She saw the situation for what it was, and she walked away before it could get any worse. And honestly, I think a lot of people respect her more for it. All right, y'all, that's the full breakdown of what really went down between Cardi B and Stefon Diggs. I want to know what you think, though. Do you think Cardi made the right call, or do you think this was something they could have worked through? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. Until next time, I'll catch y'all later.